Hello and welcome to a class that I think will change the enjoyment of your life. It's called How to Stay Young for the First 100 Years. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's a catchy title, but is it true? It seems pretty far-fetched and ambitious. Do I really need to know how to stay young for the first 100 years? Well, let's look at the facts. In 1900, the average lifespan was 49 years old. Today, the average lifespan is 77.6. Scientists at the University of Texas projected that by the year 2050, 800,000 Americans will be living to be over 100, some even to be 150 years old. So, yes, you do need to know how to stay young for the first 100 years. If we're going to be here, we don't want to simply exist. We want to be able to live and work and play on this planet. We want to have a quality of life. Now, as the baby boomers have moved into the over 50 age, we have realized what long life reveals. So, we never seen Alzheimer's and dementia like we do today. In today's world, we see it much more frequently. It's not a new disease. The thing is that it doesn't usually show up until over 70 years old. Now that we know that we will possibly be living to be this age, we need to take precautions to be able to use our minds when we reach this age. Another example is our skin. Old age has brought a huge increase in cosmetic surgery. More and more people are trying to correct the wrinkle problem that comes with growing older. But I gotta tell you, the biggest problem we have seen with old age is an increase in musculoskeletal problems. In other words, your mobility function, the ability to move around like we used to. We have increased our ability to live beyond 80 and increased our life's activities, but we have not changed the way we take care of our spine. We are the first generation to witness the ramifications that long life creates, and it reveals the true areas of neglect. Now, the stats show that the most common cause of functional disability in persons over 50 years old are spinal disorders. Now, that's really good information to know. How many of you plan to live past 50? Let's see a raise of hands. Okay. How many do you think your family and friends will live beyond 50? All right, so of course we plan on living past 50 years old, and statistically we know we will. So let's think about it like this. Let me give you an example. Say I could tell you that your house was going to get broken into. I could tell you when they were coming, what they were going to take. Wouldn't you do something to stop that from happening? I think that we all would. But I am able to tell you what is going to rob you of your functional capacity when it's going to happen. The question for you is, are you going to do something about it? Well, of course you're going to do something about it. Let's prevent it, just like we would prevent someone from breaking into our homes. But I think that we can all agree that we should work harder at stopping our health from being stolen than our possessions. Think about this. If we lose our mobility at 65 years old and we live to be 105, that's 40 years of immobility and pain. Now that's something to think about. For myself, knowing that I am approaching 40 soon, and I think that's why this sentence really resonates with me, because I think about everything I've accomplished and everything I've done in 40 years without pain. And if I take that 40 years and I move it to the end of my life and I add in immobility and pain, that's not the quality of life that I want to live. So let's take a look at some areas that we've already made some adjustments to. Let's look at this slide. Tooth decay. Our teeth were dying before we were. Now we have increased the lifespan of our teeth with proper maintenance and care before there's a problem. Let's talk about wrinkles. Since 1997, there's been a 465% increase in the total number of cosmetic procedures. That's 12 million cosmetic adjustments due to our desire to stay young. But what's more important, wrinkles and pearly whites, or our ability to function, to work and play? Now, I'm all about all of us having longer lasting teeth and fewer wrinkles, but I think that we can all agree that a lack of mobility will make us look older than crow's feet, right? The only reason that we respond to our wrinkles and our teeth before our spine and joints is simple. It's a simple fact. If our spines were on our faces, we would take better care of it, right? We don't wait for our teeth to fall out before we take care of them. We take preventative steps to make sure that doesn't happen. Should you and your family wait till your back goes out before you get it taken care of? No, we're not going to do that. We're going to take preventative steps to make sure that that doesn't happen so that we have good mobility. The chances that we are going to live an extra 30 to 40 years past the age of 50 are absolutely huge. That's why it's even more important than our teeth. And let's remember, you can't have a new spine. You can get a new set of teeth. There are even certain organs that you can get now that weren't as readily available as they are today. But when you lose your spine, the mobility in your body, there's no turning back. You can't get a new spine. It cannot be replaced. So we want to take care of our spine. There's no crown or replacement for your spine. And it's not only limited to back pain, it's neck pain as well. You can't get a new neck either. So 1 in 3 people will suffer from neck pain past the age of 50. Let's raise our hands again. How many of you believe you will live past the age 50? All right, that's a pretty big club. That's a lot of people. Do you want to use your neck over age 50 without experiencing pain? Of course, we all do. Why would we want to be in pain when there's something we can do to prevent it? Now, if 1 out of 3 have neck pain and 85 out of 100 have a bad back, I gotta tell you, that's about as high as a statistic that I would think anyone would want to see to be convinced that we need to do something preventative about this problem. Just in case you need a little more convincing, let's take a look at what would happen if we let nature take its course. This next slide is the maximum function or maximum mobility scale. The bottom numbers represent age, and the side numbers on the left represent maximum function or maximum mobility. As we can see from this scale, at age 23, we are at 100% maximum mobility. We're able to live without pain. Most people are, statistically. Then we see this line drop like a rock. And at age 50, we've lost 50% of our maximum mobility. And then we look down at 60. At 60 years old, we've lost 75% of our maximum mobility. Now, the big question is, can we do something about this? Is it too late to change the scale? Well, no, it's never too late to do the right thing. We can alter the results with preventative chiropractic. Preventative chiropractic makes a huge difference in the results of this scale. Now, let's take a look at the scale and see how it changed with preventative care. So now we look at the scale, and the red line represents the previous slide, and the green line represents preventative chiropractic care. You can see the vitality extension. Now we can go all the way over. If you just follow that line, it starts to drop at 80 years old. At 80 years old, we can have 75% maximum mobility with preventative chiropractic care. I like to look at the bottom of these two lines when I'm showing this graph. I like to look at the bottom of the red line and the bottom of the green line. The bottom of the red line lets us see that without preventative chiropractic care at 60 years old, we only have 25% of the maximum mobility that we had at age 23. We can actually extend that. If you see that bottom of that green line is 90 years old, we can extend your maximum mobility 30 years. I mean, that's pretty big. I mean, I don't know why anyone would not want to do that. If we're going to be here, like I've said before, and you're going to hear me say it again throughout, we want to be able to move and function and take the necessary steps to make that happen. I know usually at this point people start to question things. It sounds like the perfect thing to do if you're young, for instance, is one question that people have asked me over time. But what about us who are already experiencing pain, or those of us who waited until we got in pain to come see Dr. Mack? Or what if we're past 50? Is it too late to start? Absolutely not. Like I said before, it's absolutely never too late to do the right thing. We want to get you back on track for a great life ahead, and this is how we do it. Dr. Mack will recommend phases of care. There are 3 phases of care that Dr. Mack will recommend. Usually when people come to us, they're in pain. So naturally, the first phase of care is pain relief. Pain is the last thing to show and the first thing to go. And you need to remember that as you're going through your phases of recommended care by Dr. Mack. Pain is caused from a subluxation. A subluxation is a misalignment of the vertebra that's actually pinching the nerves off. The nerves run adjacent to the vertebra, so when the vertebra is moved over, it's actually pinching that nerve off. These nerves go to every system, every organ, every cell in the body. When that nerve is being pinched off, it's causing pain and dis-ease. When I say dis-ease, I mean organs and systems aren't working properly like they should because the nerve interference is there. What a chiropractor does, Dr. Mack or any other chiropractor, they work to remove that interference by using a series of adjustments. So when Dr. Mack gives you an adjustment, he's actually moving the spine off of those nerves, allowing all of those nerves to work properly and eliminating pain. Now let's think of it this way. A lot of people need an example, a tangible example to really understand what I'm talking about. Think of a water hose. When you're watering your yard and the water is flowing freely out of the water hose and all of a sudden it stops. What does that tell you? It tells you that there's a kink in the water hose, right? So you go and you remove the kink. That you could think of in your mind as a subluxation. As Dr. Mack is giving you an adjustment to remove the subluxation, you are giving your hose an adjustment to remove the pinch or the subluxation. What happens after you do that is the water begins to flow freely and you're able to water your yard, right? You're gonna have a beautiful yard after that. It's just the same thing going on in your body. When Dr. Mack removes the interference, all systems and organs are able to work properly because the nerve has been restored. So once you get out of pain phase, a lot of people think that they're finished. They don't need to come back after that. This is not true. If you ever want to change that maximum mobility scale, which I know you do, you have to go through the phases of care. The second phase of care is stabilization. Stabilization is absolutely crucial to reaching the next stage to change that scale. let me explain what stabilization is. You have been misaligned for a very long time. What needs to happen is your spine needs to be retrained to go back to its proper place. It's going to continue to move out of its proper place. If you quit after phase 1, you're going to be back in here in a few months because you have pain again. And the reason is because you didn't go through your phases of care. You didn't follow through with the care plan. So stabilization is vital to changing that maximum mobility scale. It's just like going to the gym. You can't go to the gym and work out one time and come back and be like Arnold Schwarzenegger and have huge muscles. That just doesn't happen. You can't go to the gym and run on the treadmill and lose 50 pounds. We all know these are unrealistic goals, right? So I like to think about this. If any of you have had braces, or if you know anyone who has had braces, think about the length of time that they wore their braces. I know for a fact because my daughter had braces and she had them put on when she was about 14 years old. Just a slight misalignment of her teeth. It was just cosmetic only. Just the front tooth was just a little bit pushed over on top of the other. And within about, I would say probably 2 months, her teeth looked amazing. They were perfectly straight. And so I asked the orthodontist, why are we keeping these braces on for 2 years if she's already shown so much improvement? And his exact words to me were stabilization. Her teeth grew in the wrong place. They've been misaligned her entire life since her new teeth grew in. So they automatically think that that's where they're supposed to go. So she's going to come in every month and she's going to get adjusted on her teeth. Her teeth will get adjusted by tightening the braces to hold the teeth where they need to be. Because what's going to happen, they're going to slip out of place after about 3 or 4 weeks. They're going to want to go right back to where they were. So when she comes in every month and they tighten them, they're going to move back to where they need to be. That's the exact same thing for your spine. You have been out of alignment for a long time, just like people with braces. Dr. Monk needs to move your spine back to where it needs to be, where it's supposed to be, to keep you healthy and to keep you out of pain.